All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy, my goodness, it's already Thursday as I'm streaming this. I haven't had a chance to work on this much. I always have these grand designs, and then I fall short. But I'm back at it, and part of what these streams allow me to do is they really give me give me a time to focus, and what we're focusing on is continuing. I guess this is part 4 now of working on our Fill the Hexes Jam submission or adventure or hex crawl. I thought maybe today would look at would work on random encounters. So I'm using a 2d6 random encounter setup. So you roll 2d6 on 2, you get kind of something good happens, kind of a an ally, a creature. I'll just go through. I'll zoom in here so you can see better. So the main, this is just the generic setup. Calling to the wizard. It's something good. Like somebody good shows up. This is Merlin walks out of the woods. Gandalf shows up unexpected. Just an ally. Um, then if you roll 3 6, you get common creatures. 7 to 8 are frequent, so just less common, right? I have all the percentages here, so less than 3% chance of something that kind of I think Tolkien had that phrase "you catastrophe," which I think is more something good out of kind of a seems like all is dark and then something light happens, right? But in any case, the good guy showing up. 3 to 6 is kind of common creatures, a little bit less common. 7 to 8, 9 to 10 uncommon, rare creatures, and then the dragon, which is the inverse of the wizard. So if the wizard means, hey, look, an ally showed up that we didn't expect to show up, the dragon is, oh gosh, somebody we really didn't want to show up showed up. Or it could be a dragon. If you don't have one, it could be a dragon. So that's our generic setup. So I like having the odds in there so you can kind of take a look. And you could merge these together, or you can kind of do different things. I could split these up, but I kind of like these as just sort of kind of generic categories, I guess, types. Hey Ian, how are you? And here's a drink of just cold ice water for the working man. So then I took that and I'm created these are the main I created different ones for each kind of region that takes up the space. If we recall, with this, we kind of looked at something part of it we did, I think, last time I streamed about it. Ian, you missed parts 2 and 3? That's all right. Sometimes I feel like I missed parts 2 and 3. We went kind of split these up into regions. The mountains are basically this mountainous region. I think maybe something like that. I kind of went through and marked out the hexes, but I haven't drawn any overlays for that. So we had the settled lands is kind of this area, I think, up until something like that. And so we can have different. I like to have different kind of encounters for either for terrains or for regions or kind of both. And something I liked that I saw. I want to say it's Wolves Upon the Coast for the first time was in their encounter list. They had some of the numbers where, hey, if you're close to this, then there's encounter. Otherwise, there's not. Which is interesting, which I liked, and I think I might use that for example, if we're in the settled lands, and I can have something triggers on the plains, maybe the grasslands, but not in the woods, or in the woods, but not in the grasslands, because the region encompasses both terrain. So you can kind of split things up like that if you want. I'll probably start off kind of simply, just because don't need to get complicated. We have our overall creature roster, and we might add some of these. I probably want to pick up some other. Hold on a minute. Let me see. I see my monster manual. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna probably use as my resource the AD&D monster manual, just because in terms of stats, I'm not really concerned about the stats, but they're they're pretty much the difference between BX, let's say, and AD&D for monster stuff is pretty darn. It's not a lot. Pretty darn small. It's things like morale. The morale numbers change, though. I think I'm not even sure if the morale numbers are different at this point, because if we recall, in terms of just D&D and its development, the Monster Manual came out a good, I think, year or 2 before the rest of the rules. So I know that it kind of predates AD&D proper in some ways. So I'm not really worried about that. But it has the most kind of beasties just to look up. I probably should have gotten my Fiend Folio too, because I would like to throw in some weird creatures, or at least use those to riff off of, and then put my own name and my own things on there. I still haven't gotten a name for the Cloud Giants. Still a kind of Welkin Etten, which is sounds like some kind of corporation, or but I'm sure we'll have to figure it out. But I'm sure those will get smushed together in some way, like Welketten, which also sounds bad. Welkin. I mean, I could just go with Welkin since it kind of. I might end up going with Welkin. Wolkin was another one which might work. Probably something like that. We've got this awakened direwolf that I'd want to name, kind of Gamork from the Neverending Story situation. Um, we got some different things. We got some different things to work with. So let's see. Well, I put settled lands first, so I figure might as well start there. If we're in the settled lands, and I'm not sure who the ally would be. I mean, it's a small chance. Maybe the unicorn, because remember we have. So if we think of our factions, also, which I probably should make a thing, start making a thing. One thing we have. Maybe I'll just do it down here. We have factions also, right? So let's. We've got the unicorn as a faction. We've got the. I'm just going to call it the Margrave. That's going to be who's running the kind of settled lands. I guess I'll put that in parentheses here. Settled lands. So we've got that. Maybe let's just do some more housekeeping. I'll love to do housekeeping. Actions. Sure, let's give it a color. Oh, purple. Deep purple. We've got dragon. I know. I think we come up with a name for the dragon. Right? We came up with a name that wasn't just dragon. The crystal dragon, or maybe I was maybe trying to rit. Oh, I was. I can't remember what I had though now. Oh, what did I have? I think there was. Hold on. Etim online. I found something. Let me see. Was it oh, where was it? Oh shoot. Vitamin was it worm? Yeah, there was something. Was it worm? Worm, snake. Maybe I looked up snake. Oh, there was something there. Shoot, I'd have to try to find it. I don't know where it is. I thought maybe I've noted it down somewhere, but it was something like because I had a really kind of cool. I liked it. It's gonna bum me out if I can't find it. This is why you got to take good notes, folks. Let me just see if I can anything save me from myself. Did I write it down anywhere? Did I write it down anywhere? Did I? Did I? Did I? Did I? Was it Slither? It was like a Slither slime. I don't know, there's something you go down these rabbit holes. I'm gonna have to kind of anyway. I thought I had a name. I don't want to get caught up in the name. I'll have to find it again. I'll have to find it again. It'll come to me. Shoot. It's gonna bum me out. All right. All right. All right. That's how we end up going down rabbit holes we don't want to go down. So we got the dragon and the lizard folk as another faction. And we've got the giants, which I guess we'll call the well, let's call them the giants. Not the giants. Just to kind of keep in mind. Now, if we were going to split these up, we'll use the colors. We're going to say it's kind of lawful green. I guess they're kind of green. Well, you know what? The I'll change it. The Margrave, I'm going to put them as kind of neutral. The Giants are definitely bad. We were going to kind of we were going to organize them that way. Together those factions. So just to keep those kind of in mind here. So the settled lands, I don't have names for it, but that's the Margrave. The Margrave themselves is neutral. So I'm curious as to who. Now I could see. I suppose this is where I could put one of those if thens. So if they're within, let's see, the unicorns would, the edges are, let's see. No, it's not. That's the lizard folk. So it's 02 00203 is one edge. Or actually, I think the layer. Hold on. Where's? I'll use the edge. 002 003 and 003 003 are the two edges. So let's say if you're within one hex of those, it's the unicorn. So I'll just take that out. Of 2, 3, or what's the other one? 003 003. Unicorn, which I would like to name, but I don't have a name yet. Okay, so I think that's good. So that's good for the sublets because I can't think of any other really because remember it's kind of beneficial to really to good, I guess, or to the I don't know. I really want to leave it up to you. I guess in my sense, looking for kind of like yeah, it's good, or if we're looking at we have this scenario of things going on, we have sort of the neutral Margrave or mixed, maybe some good, some bad, whatever, essentially evening out. Unicorn's good, the law kind of thing, dragon, lizardfolk kind of good slash law, and then giants evil slash bad. Then the wizard thing is something kind of good or not like. And I would also say if you were running this, I might even maybe I'll I don't know if I'll get to putting any kind of GM advice in there, but I would say replace if the party is working and they're doing stuff and there's somebody else who could show up, then feel free to swap it out with that. Terrence says Painbow Smash. Is that would that be the name of the unicorn? Painbow Smash? Was it a professional wrestler? Part of some kind of tag team, the unicorns? Painbow Axe and Painbow Smash, the unicorn tag team. Okay, so that's good. So we got that one. Now, common creatures in the settled lands. And maybe for this, I could merge them together if I wanted to. Or we could do 3 to 6. Or actually, you know what? Let's see. 38% chance it would just be. I don't know, what do we call it? What do they call? What would? Yeah, this is a good. Because I would want to say kind of citizen, but maybe that's not the right word. Inhabitants. I mean, wait, I want to say one of the. What would we call them? Because I feel like citizen seems a more modern, I suppose you could say, a subject, but I don't know. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. Yeah. So looking at, I guess I'll just kind of keep any dice up here. Citizen, inhabitant of a city or town from Anglo French. Let's see. I wonder if there is there. So there's a sense of freeman or inhabitant of a country, member of the state or nation, not an alien, is from around the 1400s, meaning private persons from the 1600s, as a title from 1795 or 1795 from the French. Is there are there any other good terms for peasants? Yeah, I know, but it's not necessarily a peasant. Just I'm just gonna put a I don't know. Maybe I'll add a 1d6 table in here. One hunter, two forager, three surf burger, filthy town townie. I know, but those are giving me like a rank thing. Like I'm not even worried. I don't know. I think of peasant. I think of like, in the kind of feudal system, which I haven't even really thought about. I don't really want to. I'm not trying to get into that much detail. So I'm just imagining kind of more or less free peoples, right? So farmers, but I'm not trying to make a statement as to whether they're, indentured to a lord or not. I suppose peasantry would work. Let's see, what does Edom Online say about peasantry in terms of, let's see, what is that? This is why I love these kind of, or a really good dictionary. So peasants, rural person of inferior rank or condition, from the Anglo-French paysan. So the old French just meant local inhabitants. Paisan from the 1930s. Hey, paisan. They don't give me what is thesaurus? What's a good it's like Merriam-Webster's got a good thesaurus. I think. Maybe it's not good. I don't know. All right, is there a good thesaurus for peasant? Clown? No. Oh, clown, bumpkin. No, 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 no. I'm not trying to impugn. Yeah, locals. I think the thing is, I guess I'm just trying to say locals, like local people. But yeah, I'll put locals. I'll put local folk. There we go. 1d6. Rube. You've run into three rubes. That's good. Rube. I'll see. Hunter, forager. I don't know. Herdsman. Or maybe I'll just make what else? I mean, this is. I suppose there'd be some kind of merchant. I don't know. Is there any ones I'm missing? I'm gonna have under frequent. I'm gonna have more like patrols, or maybe under uncommon, rare. I don't know. Rare would probably be the Margrave himself, or like a local. Maybe I don't need. Maybe I can have. You know what? I'll. What would be the most? Maybe I don't need to have a whole bunch of categories. Maybe I'll just say for this it'll be. What are they doing? I guess that does ask the question of what exactly are they doing? We've got this grazing land. I'm saying this is uh, farm farming or farming and pasture. All right, farming and pasture. So talking about herdsmen or herders, herdsmen. Is that a word? Herdsman? Is that a word? Shepherd, coward, goat herd, cow puncher. Yeah, that's exactly what it's swine herd. Yeah, so herdsman. A tender of livestock. Yes, as in a shepherd, but I think of sheep, right? Sheep as in all you herdsmen. Herdsman is good. If in the grasslands, I don't know, 1d4 herdsman. I can come up with an actual counter. Well, I'll just put herdsman for right now. I can flesh that out a bit. What a herdsman company might look like. 1d4 with a dog and either cows, goats, farmer of gong, something like that. Hey, Brian Smith. All right, so frequent might be what's in 7/8. Oh, but it's 30.56. Herdsman Co. Inc. Something like that. Let's see. We got if in grasslands we'll have uh, farmers, and I think I can have two in here. If in the, I'm not even sure. Like in the woods, maybe we're saying that the woods are less. I got a lot in the grasslands here, but I feel like that's kind of the main thing. Other than we know we have this was originally hexed as woods, but I could see it also being mostly cleared away because you're going to want to clear out a bunch around it for the. You would have used up these woods, and maybe it's got a hill or something there, or a mound that they've put up. So this might, I might in the end change this hex if I don't really. It doesn't matter super much except for, well, it matters just only in terms of travel off road. The Brian Smith's common critters and settled lands make me think of raccoons and trash cans. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like one of the things, like these are, I'm not worried. So I know some folks like to do the kind of hunting thing. So hey, you run into a whole bunch of antelope, but in this conception, this is really about kind of more interesting encounters. So stuff like herds of animals, I'm not really putting here. That would be more in, unless it was, if we were going to get into kind of motivations, say you're hunting or something, and maybe there'd be some, I don't know, but I'm not kind of going with um, those here. So I don't need to worry. I'm not worrying about raccoons thing. Raccoons thing is more if like if you were foraging or really hunting, run into raccoons or some other kind of incident, maybe raccoons will come up. But in this instance or in this type of thing, I'm not worrying too much about it. About those kind of things, that to me is kind of GM come up with. If you want to talk about in the plains and you look off and you see deer on the horizon or whatever, like great. Uh, I don't think we need that as sort of a named encounter. But that's just the way I look at it. Obviously, I know some folks like that when you're mixing in all that stuff. It also kind of depends, I think, on what you're rolling for encounters and how you're doing that stuff. So we got uncommon. So I'm gonna say patrol. I don't know. Yeah, like patrol, armed patrol. They're not really patrolling that. Well, I would say if in the grasslands or on a road, an armed patrol of the Margraves men. And then let's see. So I do want to. I don't want to necessarily like. It's not totally. That'll make me more chance of a merchant. Oh yeah, I didn't have merchants in here. Yeah, maybe I'll put that in. Where want I put that? But I kind of imagine this area to me. You guys can. I'm kind of imagining as not exactly being the heartbeat of the kingdom. I'm kind of thinking this is kind of out of the way, kind of frontier-ish. There might, not to say there's not kingdoms over here, but like this area is kind of the edge. Like, so I guess if I was going to say, like, if we could zoom out to a larger area of the map, let's say there's a kingdom, then maybe the kingdom claims everything, and the mountains is some border between it and some other kingdom, but that functionally or on a practical level, this is kind of a frontier area that the king may claim the king may claim to the mountains is ours, and the other kingdom on the other side is claiming to the mountains also, right? Maybe they have a treaty, whatever. But zooming in, it's like, yeah, there's not this area, sure, to the mountains, but no one's monitoring the mountains because nobody's really going past the river, pretty much. The river is practically the border, even if, let's say, if we were going to say that we look at this, there's an overall kind of, the mountains is kind of coming like this, maybe, and we're zoomed in on one part of the mountains. So I look at this as kind of frontierish, more or less. Obviously, this thing got ruined. Maybe this was part of that same kingdom, or maybe it's even part of an earlier culture, whatever. But beyond the river is kind of like where they've sort of stopped. There hasn't been anything to drive them to go forward to the river. Now, imagine if they all of a sudden discovered gold in them Nar Hills, that might change the things entirely. So, not to say there'd be no merchants, but I know this is not where I'm going. Like, oh, and then the giant caravans are coming in. But yeah, I probably should mix in a merchant somewhere. Maybe here. If on the roads, or maybe I'll try to use the same language. On the road, a merchant. Otherwise, oh, a peddler. Peddler's a nice term. I'll throw that in here and with a slash. Thank you. I'm not sure which one of those I use, but I like they have a peddler. Yes, something modest because I was going to actually type like a modest merchant. This is not, we've brought great riches from the east. No, this is, yes, much more, I think, a peddler, someone who's coming from the next place down. Like maybe there's a town off the map that is maybe more plugged in, and somebody makes the weekly or monthly trip up into the sticks here, assuming those people don't go down to visit the merchant. But yeah, something very low key, local. What do they call it? Last mile, last mile delivery, last mile delivery, not something big. So that's probably a good. Brian says a peddler of provocatively shaped driftwood. Sure. And then the dragon would be. Oh, we didn't say otherwise. Let's say rare. Otherwise. Oh yeah, the wolves. Right, because the dire wolves. What's a good name? I like Gamork, but I can't use Gamork. What? What? It's only got one vowel in there. But if I do Gamork, can I do like Kromg? Crom? No. Corm? Gorm? Isn't it Gorm something? Gromk? I just kind of do that to sort of. I need a wolf name. Somebody give me a good and not a jokey one. If someone's got a non memey, what would be a good name for a wolf? And a sort of evil wolf. Uh, throw it in the chat, or let me know if you're watching this later. I'll try to throw it in there. Otherwise, a gang of direwolves. I'm using gang specifically because And then enemy approaches would obviously be the giants, which will probably I could probably just I'm not sure what that'll mean, but the no, I'm kind of thinking. Brian Smith says like a name like people would call it. No, I'm thinking like what would be a wolfish name and a wolfish. If there was kind of what would we call that? A transliteration of a wolfish name, but kind of on the sort of evil end. Yeah, yeah, like right. I don't want to use Fenrir, right, but something like that. I mean, yeah, exactly, exactly. I had a good. Where did I have it? I found this cool. Let me see if I can pull it up. Um, Hold on a minute. There was a. I found this. Yeah, Carngorm. Does that mean something, Evan? Carngorm? Is it thieved directly from something? 'Cause I love to riff on something. I don't want to necessarily take something exactly for something else. That sounds familiar to me. I wonder if it just sounds kind of Tolkienian. Is there something behind that? Does it mean? Is there a meaning? There was yeah, I want to go type. Hold on a minute. I found this cool dictionary. Keeps Riffy Carngorm. No, I dig it. I just want to know if it comes from something. Was it? What was that? What is this? File to be. No, that's not it. Uh, no, not atomic highway. Where did it? Where would it have been? No, 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 no. I got too much stuff. Old school. No, not old school essentials. Thought it had a weird. Huh. 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 Let me see if I can. Oh, interesting. All right, I can't find it right now. But is it an ancient wolf? Well, we're playing in a fantasy campaign, so I don't know if it's ancient, but I think certainly. Oh, I think this is it. This is it. This had some neat stuff in it. I think I was just doing because it's from the inspiration from Kara Gore's in the cornea. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm just gonna look up like what is wolf. You find all these like yeah, I think wolf ends up being just like sometimes it's just that's one time sometimes you're looking things up. I just love to take inspiration, but sometimes you get I don't want to call it goofy things, but you get stuff like wolf and it's wolf like WULF. It's like okay, that doesn't help. So here we have something like Ermanaz, Ermunaz, Ermenericus, Jormungandr, great monster, or Jormunur, name of Orden, Aor. That's man. I don't. That doesn't. No, I'm not looking for man. How did wolf end up in here? Ermenericus, Jormungandr is cool. Which they obviously Jormungandr, I think clearly ended up being Jormunur. Male wolf, prey breaker. I'll go with Carngorm. Carngorm is good. Maybe for something else, I'll go in there. But Carngorm, I like. So let's go and let's knock it in there. Carngorm, the awakened direwolf. Sold. And we'll put that gang of dire wolves. Or And okay, and then the Giants. So if you get 12, the Giants show up. You probably don't want. Okay, so that's well. Look at that. We got that part squared away. So that's for the settled lands. Creatures. I think probably the well. Let's see. I think the unicorn's probably going to be the good thing in a lot of these places. Unicorn not really showing itself. So rare would be probably. What did we say? This was that one of the Etten swine. I didn't name them. I didn't name them. So I'll need a name. Or we have the pair of Etten swine. We need a male Etten swine name and a second Etten swine name. Ryan Smith says, reminder of where the number range equals wizard dragon idea came from. Well, it kind of came from me. I was inspired by someone had a system where basically you roll 2 or 12 and you either get a dragon or a wizard. So I did steal that from somebody. But in terms of the naming, though I'm looking at it more broadly, I'm using them as kind of uh, flavor. The wizard is basically somebody good coming. It could be a literal wizard. Like if you rolled that and you didn't have anything up, you could have a friendly wizard shows up. And the same thing for the dragon. Okay, it's a dragon because I don't have anything else. But it's in this system, the titles are basically to remind me that it's something good. The wizard means something good coming. It's like Gandalf showing up or Merlin showing up when you need him, we needed him most. So that's why I've titled those the wizard and the dragon. But there was some blog post somewhere or somebody had a system where they did a 2d6 and on a 2 a wizard showed up, on a 12 a dragon showed up. But uh, yes, archetypal. Right. So I'm using it in more archetypal sense. So the wizard is something positive and the dragon something negative, but you could absolutely literally put any wizard or dragon if you had nothing else. But in this case, I'm not because I have a positive. And I would also say, like I said before, maybe you hadn't joined yet, but if you were playing, if I was running this up in a way, it maybe it will end up something. I would say that this is where either you could have something from the region, which is what I'm putting in, or you could literally have if there was an ally, if you're playing an ongoing campaign and the party had some kind of good guy, mentor, patron, somebody good, this could be a chance where, for whatever reason, that guy shows up. Like, oh, we're by the side of the road and it's looking grim. Oh, but I rolled this too. Oh, look, somebody that just so happens that our old friend is on the road. It happens to be right. It's something good that you catastrophe, that kind of something good unlooked for shows up. Now, of course, the inverse is that the dragon is something bad unlooked for shows up. Oh, we're on the road and looking grim. Oh gosh, suddenly our the big bad evil guy happens to be on the road. Oh, geez, it's gone from bad to awful, that kind of thing. And if I had, it'd be good. I should. That's a good idea, Brian Smith. I should make a note. Actually, I will make a note. So you think about there might be some a working in with tarot because that actually would be nice. But the other ones are not really special in that way. They're just more like. But I'll have to look at it. Can I frame wandering my encounter type titles in tarot terms? Maybe. Maybe. What about the verisimilitude? Indeed. Well, there was no one to say who was on that road. Right. Yeah, I'd have to. It would be a major arcana thing. It would be like, is there a major arcana type dealio? Not into the cups and the wands and whatever. Though those are cool, and if I was actually using tarot, I would. If I was using tarot all the way, I would totally do it. But this case, it's more for flavor and just inspirational purposes, right? Ooh, it's the wizard. What could that mean? Oh, it's the dragon. What could that mean? I mean, like I said, in this instance, probably in all of these, the just by default worst thing that could show up at any given point is the giants come floating, by. Um, you know, Like we could probably just say that, yeah, that's gonna be the dragon is the Giants. That's pretty much true. What the heck is going on in the street? Somebody's doing something. You guys probably can't hear it, but it's like someone banging on metal out there. Hickory coffee? Are you doing you're doing your New Orleans style? Whatever the name of that New Orleans stuff is? I don't mind it if it's sweet. A blue was it? No, a blue bottle coffee does. They have a New Orleans style coffee that they do. I think what makes it New Orleans style is the chicory because that's kind of become a New Orleans thing. Though I think it Cafe du Monde. Yep, exactly. Terrence says Bruce wants in. Nice call, Terrence. But actually, Bruce is on the bed and he seems quite comfortable. Right, Bruce? You're not going anywhere. Someday I'm gonna get a second camera and I'll have it as Bruce cam when Bruce is here and I can flash the Bruce cam. But I think originally it was just it's amazing to me how so much of things that we find delicious and are special were really just poor folk trying to figure out what to do with what they had. I think the whole chicory coffee thing came from we don't have enough coffee or we have a little bit amount of coffee that we need to stretch. So we found chicory, we throw it in there and it's not great, but it's not horrible. And I think probably the quality of coffee in terms of how they were prepping and stuff meant that coffee was some bitter. I mean, I'm sure it was some powerful stuff compared to how we brew it now. So it's probably like, oh yeah, it's not much more bitter than what we're drinking anyway. And it just kind of became a thing in that one part of the country and stuck. Okay. Oh yeah, cans are cool for storage. I like cans and bottles and all that stuff is good. Let's see. Oh yeah, I didn't make one here for the swamp area for the lizard man swamp. I'll come back to it. I'll come back to that 'cause I think I was gonna do. I think I know why I didn't make one because I was gonna do the gold dragon layers kind of, or which is now the. Oh, I need to find that. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. That word I had that I can't find again. For the dragon. It was like a wriggle or a slither. It wasn't maybe obviously it wasn't slither. It was something to do with worming. So I was looking at worming, and it just that was a great term. But I'll have to find it again. So I won't. I'll we'll go to the mountains. The mountains. What would be the good thing that could happen in the mountains? Not much. I don't really think the unicorn's going to go there unless. Yeah, I would use that same thing if they're within one hex. Of I think if they're within, yeah, if they're within, what are the? I think the it would be is 100. I don't know if that's a. Oh, that's right. That's where the Giants are. So two. I think if they're within a hex of 002 001, I'm just gonna put the unicorns wood. How about I just do that? I'm gonna do that in both places. So that last bang got Bruce moving. Sorry, all right, Bruce. It's not that loud, but I don't know what are they doing. I have windows right next to me, so I can see out on the street, but and my window's open because it's actually really nice today for whatever reason. A clue? A group of worms is called a clue? I gotta mark that one down. Really? Like a HVAC for yeah, something's coming down. I don't need to make a hold on. A clue? That's pretty cool, but no, that's not it. I'll find it. Oh, I have to take the subway today, so I will have time when I've got at least when I'm on state in stations that have internet to find out to do my searching. I've got to go to it's Thursday, so it's I've got my game, my Bandits Keep game, with Daniels today. I get to play. Yoo-hoo! And I think our cleric just went up a level, which is cool. And I don't know how far I am, but I embraced paladin. No, yeah, I became a paladin. My fighter. I was. Here's a question for you. I think it's pretty. I actually kind of like this, and I never really occurred to me before because I guess I never looked closely enough at it in terms of playing. But in OD&D, so you get OD&D when you get to Greyhawk, they introduce the paladin and the thief. But the paladin, if I'm reading it correctly, is not introduced as a separate class. It's in this it is in the sense what it is if you are a fighter and you qualify, and Daniel's cool, and I like the flexibility that he had because he's saying like, "Oh, I'm kind of going up in levels, and was there anything I'd like to do?" And he had me because we had this downtime. If I wanted to explore some options, I thought about it. I said, paladin might be kind of cool. Now, my character doesn't qualify for a paladin in terms of attributes. But what he did was he essentially allowed me to move around my attributes as if I was in character generation to get the required, I think, charisma, what it was to be a paladin. So we just did that little finagling, and it was part of my downtime training that I became more charismatic, and I think at the cost of my intelligence stat, which was high, but I don't have any things like that, which was really cool. But hey, RPG Grandma. But with the Paladin, it's not a separate class. I'm not multi-classing into Paladin. It's more like, in a sense, a subclass, but there is no separate advancement. There's no separate titles. Now I'm a Paladin, but essentially I'm the fighter who has taken on this new role as a paladin, but everything else stays the same. I've just made this choice. Like, oh yes, now I've decided to become a paladin, which I think is really cool. You get this skill package. You get right. I get it. Obviously I have this now limitation on I think the number of followers I can have, the amount of basically stuff I can carry, but I'm not carrying a bunch of stuff anyway. So I have those kinds of things, and you get some really neat abilities. But fundamentally, your class doesn't change. This isn't, "Oh, now I've multi-classed in the paladin, or I've dual classed, or something else." It's not even like the prestige classes worked, where you'd have some limited. If I'm remembering correctly, and it's been a while since I've looked at the prestige classes from like 3.x, but you just you become a paladin, but I'm still a fighter, and nothing else changed. Like my attack things didn't change, my manpower didn't change. None of that stuff changed. Like, okay, a paladin now, but I'm essentially still a fighter. But I made that choice. I thought that's really kind of cool. I mean, if I was gonna, if because I don't like me personally, I don't like the attribute locking part of it because I don't like that concept of the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. You don't roll great stats, suddenly you're locked out of all this stuff. You roll great stats, and you get all this stuff handed to you to make you even better than the poor sap that couldn't have it. So if I was going to do this personally, something of this nature, I'd want to think about it a little bit differently because I wouldn't want the stats. Because there might be people who you can't even. I was lucky to have pretty high intelligence that I wasn't using. As Brian Smith says, I burned my intelligence to become a paladin, like the dude was brainwashed by the church into a holy warrior. Uh, pretty much. And then Terrence says, just picturing a RPG warrior at a fussy charm school working on his posture and learning to make polite conversation. Could be more or less. I think Terrence. It's probably more like I went to something like a workshop for giving. I mean, like, but more like probably more fire. I imagine a paladin. Their style is more fire and brimstone. You got to come to Jesus, so to speak. Though it's not Jesus kind of thing. You're like better make right because the world is crappy and is gonna kill you kind of thing. But I just really like that simplicity that you could you take this role essentially. You gain this package. The package has things that trigger on different levels. I think at 8th level, I'll get to do something if I can find a holy sword that will unlock another element. Um, you know, you you get this stuff, but that's it. Everything else is you're just back to your fighter, my attributes. Anyway, but what I was gonna say was the part of it I think that's interesting is if I was gonna adapt this for something else, I might have to balance. I don't know if I need to balance it differently because I wouldn't want the person who stayed a vanilla fighter to feel like maybe there'd be like I could see having 3 kind of unlocks, right? If you like, for example, oh, there goes the truck that I think was making a lot of the noise, at least for me. For example, your your paladin, let's say, if you want to have say paladin, ranger, something else. I don't know. I could see doing it on the way I might even want to look at it would be ultimately. Oh, I don't know, or maybe it'd just be because there are 3 ways, a couple ways I'm looking at. One is it, do you want to go, hey, this is the route you take if you want to do domains. Hey, this is the route you want to take if you just want to be a badass warrior and you don't care about domains. And maybe there's a third thing. But it's kind of nice, I think, at this point to bring in sort of flavorful things. But come in with these kind of flavor features and maybe have the one like at certain levels, you just unlock some goodies if you don't take any. Like you just want to be a warrior. You guys hear that? Because that truck was coming in hot. We've got maybe not a year ago, maybe maybe between a year and 2 years ago, we put in road humps, road bumps, speed bumps on our street, and yeah, that truck didn't seem to slow down for those at all. Terrence says, charismatic in the religious sense. Well, he's a paladin, so I presume that. But maybe there's something like I've got this kind of fervor glow now that adds to my overall charisma. I don't know. In any case, I really like that. But you get a little package. And maybe there's something like Shadow of the Demon Lord did. I want to say maybe they did something like that, but it's been forever since I've looked at Shadow of the Demon Lord. But just like, hey, and I was even thinking what I would like is to have it fourth level and eighth level. Fourth level, you get to pick a package. Eighth level, you get to pick a package or increase a package, maybe something like that. Something to think about. But it was cool because I just liked it. You're a paladin now, but you don't have to go through a bunch of changes. No multi-class, no whatever. You just get it. You just get a couple things. You get a little package of skills and abilities and increases, and then that's it. Go back to just being a fighter. You don't have to learn anything new. Your attack bonuses don't change. Your anything, nothing else changes. But anyway, I thought that was cool. Hey, Michael Fraker, you did not miss it. You have missed. Whoops, you have missed nothing. Um, so that is it for that. Where am I on this? Okay, so if one within 1 hex of the unicorn's wood, or should I say 2 hexes? But the unicorn's wood, there's actually not that much there. If you're the wood is like this, or actually it's this area here. So if you could be here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Otherwise, it's kind of nothing. That's fine. If you're deep in the mountains, there ain't nothing saving you. Common. What would be common? I would say if you're on, let's see, 0. Yeah, because I feel like the lizard men or the troglodytes would be if you're in a river. Yeah, in a hex. Yes. I'll just put it like that way. If within a hex, within the same hex as the river. Troglodytes. I'll just put troglodytes in there. Goblins in the mountains. I don't know if I want to introduce other sapient, organized critters here. So we've got the lizard folk, we've got the troglodytes, who are basically right these kind of mutated, corrupted lizard folk. We've got people. I think maybe I'll make the cave line also awakened, intelligent, a nice mirror for Carngorm. We've got the Etten swine. Yeah, these are not. I mean, they're factions showing. So there are. Whoops. There are potentially factional things happening here. Like the unicorn is the head of a faction, right? Oh, totally skipped the woods and went to the mountains. But that's fine. The herdsmen, the farmers are part of a faction, right? But I don't know if I want another. It's like, what are the goblins doing there? Who's dealing with the goblins? Average grandma, I'm sorry your break is over, but thanks for hopping in. Take it easy. Good luck with the rest of your day. Mountain ninjas, always got to have ninjas within the mountains. And like I'm fine with the mountains being kind of maybe more bare. Like what are other things in the mountains? There might be some. Yeah, I mean, I suppose maybe the mountain, I don't know, I could put well, I think I brought out that monster manual. What did I do with it? What did I do with the monster manual? That is the question. Um, well, let's see. What have we got? I mean, I could have something like a bear, you know. All right. What kind of things? Unfortunately, it's not set up for by terrain. Oh, we need my BX books, which is where? Oh, it's underneath me. Hold on a minute, because they do have by terrain. So let me pull out my handy dandy schmandy BX binder. In the woods, we've got okay. So if I wanted to go, I'm gonna leave out. Now I could see so for like humanoids. Okay, so I could see there being. I could use like ogres. I could use because I feel like just if you just was like just a lone ogre there, that one might work. Anything. I don't. I just want to use one that's organized. Like maybe a dryad in the woods would be cool. I could definitely see the dryad working for the unicorn kind of thing, part of her crew. I just don't want to use organized things. Smith centaurs, but dwarf goats. That's a good creature. You should name it, copyright it, and sell it. So animals in the mountains: cave bears, mountain lions, hawks, mules, rock baboons. We got wolves already, so I'm not gonna do that. A cave bear might be cool. So yeah, I'll put a cave bear in there. That would be definitely rare. Uncommon might be. Yeah, I want to say that they're not because it. The thing is with the mountains. So one thing to note here: this is where the flying the giants. This is where they start out. They don't own the mountains. They don't really care about the mountains too much, other than their site over here, which is not under a threat, and they've got kind of constant traffic. So I think a lot of stuff I'm going to have kind of be on the river, right? Like this hex here. This is the dragon thing over here. Like this, these they're not operating there. That's why, or that's why, but that's a kind of that's my reasoning partly for having the Giants only be on a 12 is because they're moving around and they don't care. They're not trying to keep. So a lot of stuff I'm going to have kind of maybe here, but it's going to be the Carngorm. Assuming you haven't dealt with Carngorm, there we go. Nope, nope, Terrence, not Clan of the Cave Bear. I vaguely, it was a book, right? I didn't read the book, and I vaguely remember the movie coming out and just being ripped apart. Oops. Ugh. Cave Bear. And then let's see. We've got Cave Bear, Mountain Lion, Hawks. I think I had. Did I have Hawks on the board as part of the team Giant? I think Hawks were part of Team Giant. Giant Flying Fortress. Yep, Giant Hawks. Okay. Oh yeah, we can put them. Giant Hawks. All right, so we got that one set up. I'll have to come back and tweak these, but it's a good general setup. I don't know if I could see putting something else in here, but throw a Yeti in there. They might not. Where are Yetis in? Do we have Yetis? I don't know that these are really snow-capped mountains. I feel like maybe Yetis, maybe too cold or not cold enough for where I'd want to put a Yeti. Do we have Yetis though? So just for reference, it is a cool picture. Am I showing that well enough? Let's see. Frequency very rare, appearing 1 to 6, armor class 6, hit dice 4+4. Inhabiting only regions of icy cold, Yeti are seldom encountered by warm blooded mankind. Those who do have the misfortune to stumble upon these monsters seldom live to tell the tale, for Yeti are very fond of human flesh. Yeti are nearly invisible until within 10 to 30 feet of their prey. Wow. Each level above first, add 5% chance of spotting a Yeti at a normal distance, i.e., a second level character has a 5% chance of spotting one. I wonder, that's pretty cool. But I think I'm gonna use. I love the idea, but I don't picture this as kind of a Tibet stand-in. So Bigfoot, Bigfoot. Do we have? Is there Sasquatch in here? Do they have a Bigfoot? Well, that would be. I would throw a Bigfoot in the woods as another servant working with the unicorn, or maybe partner, not servants. Maybe not the way to do it. Let's see. Do we have Bigfoot? We do not have Bigfoot. What about Sasquatch? Do we have Sasquatch? That's probably a Fiend Folio one if I had to guess, but maybe not. Sassafras. Nope. Sahagwin, Salamander, Satire, Scorpion. And I don't think, well, I'll throw it in there. I'll have to look it up. Or maybe a kind of a Green Man, something else. Same stats, but more reasonable. Well, I think that, well, I mean, the interesting of the Yeti, the thing that makes the Yeti strong in that is that their ability to hide and basically until they're right on top of you or you're right on top of them, which basically puts them in really good ambush a lot. Maybe the Bigfoot, because I guess Bigfoot maybe have the same thing. Goodness knows. I'll have to figure it out. But I'll put them. Well, we need something, so we'll put. That's the Unicorn Woods Sasquatch. This I think is the Unicorn's lair, right? 003, 002 is the Unicorn's lair. The Big Cat's lair. Yeah, I'll think that. I think the Big Cat maybe 1 hex. Wonder if that Big Cat goes into the mountains or hills. Probably not. Aaron says it's got a similar stealth ability because they're so hard to catch. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'll say within whoops. No, I'll put the. I'll just let. I'm gonna let the Big Cat roam. Let's see the. What do they call it? A cave lion? Was it called a cave lion? I think so. But I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna give it a name. I'm gonna give it a name, but we'll get to the name later. And then the common creatures, if within 1 hex of 002.001, that's the wild boar. of wild boar. And I'll put like a 1 in 6 chance the eaten swine is with them. Maybe that's not enough. Let's call it. I'll give them a 50-50. I still need names for a male and female boar person. So if you got any ideas for male or female boar person names, let me know. Um, so that's that. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. What else do we got here? So we need frequent creatures. Oh, the dryad. Dullbrew and Flarn, Murgle and Vool. Sound, they'll sound more like goblins in the Murgle and Vool sound like a comedy duo and like the goblin doing stand up on a tour. Welcome to the stage, Murgle and Vool, everybody. Let's see. What do I need here? I need something frequent. What else in these woods that are kind of frequent? Probably not. I can't really think of much. I wonder. So it's a. I hear you, Terrence. I hear you. Sometimes you gotta get through a bunch of names. They're not bad names. I'm not feeling it for the Etten swine, but I definitely like the names for somebody. They're names for something. I could see like in the village if I needed some village names, like a husband and wife, Murgle and Vool, old married couple. Say goodnight, Vool. Goodnight, Vool. What do I need? What could be? Might need to put. Let's see. What do we have in there? All right, we got the big cats accounted for. The unicorns accounted for. We got the things with the swine. I think I made a statement saying the dire wolves are not coming in, but that doesn't mean the giant hawks can't be flying above. So I'll put. Let me see. Oh, you know what? That's what I'll do. I think I'm going to do this because mean the fortress to move if within 1 hex of the flying fortress, the giant hawks. Some giant hawks. I'll decide how many. Galborgia. I was just watching a thing on Twin Peaks, and that reminds me of that stuff that like the spirit creatures vomit out had a name like that. Wasn't exactly that, but I'll uh I'll put Galborgia to the side. I need like a scratch pad kind of. And you know what? I'll mark down Murgle and Vool too because those are good. So I get why did I get two? I don't know. Scratch pad. Did I get another? Okay, that's Murgle and Vool. Galborgia. Clean that up. Okay. We've got unicorn. 1 hex if here something happens. 1 hex flying fortress. I might add some just see here's where see in this case, you know, I was just saying how I don't want to put in kind of just insignificant sort of things, but because I don't have a lot, I might put otherwise, you see something else, and that might just be some other things, like maybe a badger or something, I don't know, or maybe I'll get some giant, the giant, like giant ferret, giant badger. I'll throw some of those in. We got the things, so let's see. So the unicorn be in the ruins. I don't think the unicorn's coming to the ruins. Well, it's a small chance. So, but she's not. I keep calling the unicorn female. I guess because she is. Guess it must be that she is female. She's not coming up far, but she'll come. She'll wander out a little bit. I know we're gonna have some undead swamp zombies. Ah, there, Terrence. Garmin Bosia. Thank you. There you go. Garmin Bosia. Yeah, I think it was in Fire Walk with Me or something. They mentioned Garmin Bosia being the stuff that looks like creamed corn that they vomit up or peas. Any way you slice and dice it, seemed kind of gross. Well, I mean, it's meant to be vomit from a weird spirit creature, so it's not going to be pleasant regardless. But yes, Garmin Bosia. All right, so in the ruins, I'll put it as maybe uncommon. I don't want there to be so many. I think common. Let's see. What do we got for wetlands? Well, we got kind of wetland critters do we have? And maybe some more powerful undead. There's maybe one that'll be in that rare bit outside if it's not in their lair. So, oh, am I going the wrong way? I am going the wrong way. Okay, wilderness encounters, swamps. We've got robber flies, pixies, Pegasus, killer bees. Mm, animal. What do they have for animal? And I don't have any animals for the swamps. That can't be right. Oh, they don't. Oh, I didn't know. I don't know if I ever realized this before. So when you're rolling in the wilderness encounter table in BX, it's an eight-sided die. You cannot score animal. They have no animal subtable for swamp. So I just looking at it now, it's the only one too. I think. Oh no, ocean also. No, well, besides the inhabited spots, even desert has animals. So they didn't come up with any animals that live in swamps, which seems weird because you have crocodiles and other things, alligators and giant toads. All right. Oh, they have it as swimmer. Maybe that's why. Oh, they got ooh. Oh, there's some nice stuff here. Okay. Okay. We got some good stuff for the swamps. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got a couple things I like here. Giant leeches, water termites, and giant crocodiles. Which I feel like giant leeches maybe should be the common. Giant leeches. Or maybe it should be leeches. I think it is horrific. It's giant leeches are true. They are horrific. Indeed. I mean, water termites is gross too. And then maybe I need to maybe I need to move swamp zombies to the rare. No, I'll keep them there. I like the idea that the crocodiles too. But I have two. Maybe I'll leave them. Maybe let's do there. So maybe crocodiles are just too normal. Angry Nutra. Are we in Louisiana? We in fantasy Louisiana, Terrence? All right. So Warren Smith asks about the water termites. Let's look up water termite here. I have the book in front of me. Is it under? What do we think? Is it under termite or water? It's under termite, comma water. Oh, there's a swamp termite. Oh, they're not that bad. So they're swamp termites. Armor class 4. Hit dice 1+1. They do have special attacks. Damage is only 1 to 3. Number appearing 0. In parentheses 1 to 4. Let's see. They save as fighter 1. The morale's 10. Wow. So the swamp termites will retreat. All right. So here's the let's get to the meat of the matter. Here is the description. Water termites vary from about 1 foot to 5 feet in length, the largest being found in ocean waters. All are shaped similar to normal termites, except for an elastic body sac, which can intake and expel water. When the body sac is completely expanded, the water termite looks like a large balloon with a small insect-like head attached at the front of the body. These termites jet about underwater like squids. When frightened above water, the water termite will release an irritating spray at one target. Any creature or character hit by this spray must save versus poison or be stunned for 1 turn. If frightened underwater, it will produce a black ink to obscure the vision of its attacker. These defense mechanisms can be used once per turn. If backed into a corner, the termite will attempt to bite its attacker. The real terror of these creatures is the possible destruction they can cause to boats and ships. Water termites will cling to passing vessels and move about the bottom to find a good place to begin eating away at the wood. Once attached, each termite will do 1 to 3 points of hull damage to the ship or boat and then will drop off having eaten its fill. Check for sinking after the water termites have begun to damage the vessel. Once a water termite damages a boat or ship, there's a 50% chance each round that someone will notice water leaking into the vessel. So yes, actually, you were correct. The main danger is the boats, which I'm presuming this is not a I'm not imagining that there's going to be a ton of river travel. So maybe I'll put the giant crocodiles in there instead. The crocodiles, I guess it is. Sturges not on the list. I can see sturges. Where's the? I was going to ask, what is the background of sturges? Are they just part of the? Were they OGL'd, or are they from? Where's the sturge come from? What what did they come? Oh, here there's a. Well, I hate to go to Reddit, but I suppose. Oh, okay. So they're actually all right. They're ancient Greek. It's a Greek ancient Greek monster. Yep, it is Terrence says folklore. Yep, it is folklore. From bricks, singular steerages, I think is what. Let me see if I can find the or stridges. Oh, I see. Stridges instead of sturges. I see. So stridges. So here's I'll just pull this over here so we can all appreciate Wikipedia. So the strix, plural, striges or strixes, in the mythology of classical antiquity, was a bird of ill omen, the product of metamorphoses that fed on human flesh and blood. It also referred to witches and related malevolent folkloric beings. The strix is described as a large-headed bird with transfixed eyes, rapacious beak, grayish white wings, and hooked claws in Ovid's Fasti. This is the only thorough description of the Strix in classic literature. Elsewhere, it is described as being dark colored. Okay. Large headed bird with transfixed eyes, rapacious beak, grayish white wings, and hooked claws. And that's the only really good description we get. Otherwise, it just says dark colored. Behavior. We got a behavior entry. The Strix was a nocturnally crying creature which positioned its feet upwards and head below. Okay. I see. So I think it's so presumably kind of like an owl, but it's highly suggestive of a bat which hangs upside down. Right? There's and you can see there's lots of I don't know how good these references are, but there's a lot of them. So there's probably a lot of freedom to kind of do different things. The Strix in later folklore was a bird which squirted milk upon the lips of infants. But Pliny dismissed this as nonsense and remarked it was impossible to establish what bird was meant by this. Fair enough. The same habit where the Strix lactates foul smelling murk onto an infant's lips is mentioned by Titinius, who noted the placement of garlic on the infant was the prescribed amulet to ward against it. In the case of Ovid's striges, they threatened to do more harm than that. They were said to disembowel an infant and feed on its blood. Ovid allows the possibility that striges being birds of nature or products of magic or transformations by witches using magical incantations. All right, it says Pliny sounds like a real buzzkill. He does. All right, so let's see. So, according to Antoninus Liberalis's Metamorphoses, the Strix was a metamorphosis of Polyphonte. Polyphonte? She and her bear-like sons Agrios and Oreos were transformed into birds as punishment for their cannibalism. Here, the Strix is described as a bird that cries by night without food or drink, with head below and tips of feet above, a harbinger of war and civil strife to men. Was Pliny the BuzzFeed of his day? In this Greek myth, the ill-omened Strix herself did not perpetrate harm on humans, but one paper suggests guilt by association with her sons and seeks to reconstruct an ancient Greek belief in the man-eating Strix dating back to this age, which would be the 4th century BC. In an opposing view, one study failed to find the ancient Greeks subscribing to the Strix as a terror to mankind, but noted widespread belief in Italy that it was a bloodthirsty monster in bird form. This study surmises that the Greeks later borrowed the concept of Strix as witches, a concept articulated in Ovid. And one scholar estimates the Greeks adopted the Strix as child murdering horrors by the last centuries BC. The modern Greek form, okay, whatever, may betray an influence of the Latin diminutive strugula. I wonder if that probably can't come from like strangulate, can it? Uh, more Terrace's planning was more the Encyclopedia Dramatica, perhaps. Okay, so we got some stuff here. So I like the Strix. We can use the Strix. I don't know that I'm not sure if I'm getting we'll have to put it somewhere. I think I'll put it in the desolation, maybe the Strix hanging out. We'll throw it over there. I'm not getting a particular swampy vibe for it, but I do need I wanted to put what's a good I want to put one kind of more serious undead in there that shows up rarely but is there. What what could it be? So our I don't want it to be spectral, so specter is out. So our choices are mummy or a white or a vampire. I suppose I could go with a ghast. Also, let me go. Where are those? So we've got. Maybe I'll look at that. This is where I'll go back to. I think the Macho may have them all gathered together, where I think they're split in BX. Undead plant beast. What would an undead plant beast be like? Dog mummy. I just feel like I mean, a mummy would work. I guess that maybe I shouldn't worry about what are the wrappings doing. They're just kind of waterlogged. Mummies are undead humans with existence on both the normal and positive material planes. They're found near their tomb or in like burial places or ruins. So the idea here, so here's my concept that this creature, their lair or where they came from is in the swamp. Like, because remember, we're thinking that that this ruins here kind of that this wetlands that their ruins kind of got sunk. There was some maybe in these three hexes, some kind of culture, some kind of settlement, and it got as part of whatever the last cataclysm, presumably perpetrated by the giants in sometime before a fair amount of time before they're back looking around for fresh meat on the scene. This got transformed into this swampy land. Ooh, an ent with negative that hit for negative levels. That sounds super nasty. I suppose. What is an ent like? 'Cause that's kind of a cool idea too. Actually, maybe I like that better than my other idea. Let me go look at the ents. I don't know if I want to hit with negative levels. That's pretty rough. Demons. Oops, that's yeah. I'm in the D's. I need the E's. Dinosaurs, dragons, ifrits, ear seekers, elementals, elves, titans. Oh, ents. They don't have. Oh, it would be because it's not ent in D&D. It's treant. Oh, there's a movie called Moloch, and they threw the victims in the bog that got mummified, and cursed. Did they gain any special cool abilities in that movie? Better make a note somewhere. Where's my notes? Notes. Oh, not you. Moloch movie. Frog mummies. Yeah, give us some more details on those while I'm looking at treant. Let's see. Treant. Here we go. All right, so their frequency is rare. Number appearing 1 to 20. Yeah, I think maybe if there's going to be one, it'd just be 1. Armor class 0. They have special attacks and defenses. Okay, treants are strangely related to humans and trees, combining features of both. They dwell in woods and forests and are basically indistinguishable from trees. They hate evil things or unrestrained use of fire. If need arises, treants can cause trees to come to life. Uh, treants have a very superior armor class rating, yes. However, against fire, they lose this superiority. Okay. Where's the special attacks? Not seeing it. Treants of small size have 7 IC, 2 to 16 hit points, so basically 2d8. Middle sized, 9 to 10 hit dice and do 3d6. And large, do 4d6. What I might, yeah, the corrupted, yes, I like that idea, but only in the swamp hex. Well, no, that's not true. I'll have it be in the. Just gonna have to. I'll have to come up with a name for it, but I like it. I'm thinking. I'm thinking that maybe it'll do. I'll come here to my. Oh yeah, I'll put that. Mummies. I'm thinking the corrupted trance maybe will. So I like the idea that I want it to be. I mean, it's on the one hand, it's kind of I'm torn, right? Because it's pretty darn strong. But I guess I have no idea what kind of. I'm not gonna. I think for the most part, I feel like this is. I don't know what levels. I know I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna worry about the levels part of it. I'm not gonna worry about that part of kind of like what am I gearing this towards. But what I think I want to do, I instead of having it deal negative levels and damage. Well, I was thinking I could have it strike directly at con. Like it just hits your con when it if you get hit, hit your con, and so pretty much regardless of what level you are, it's gonna always be strong because you're never gonna have more than max like 18 con, right? Or even if you were start out max and you gained some kind of belt or thing or drank from the right pool, maybe you have 19. So when it does, and then we'll see what happens when it knocks all your con out. Um, special attack damages con directly when con reaches 0, maybe some sort of corruption. Save. I'll just throw that note in there. Terrence says the undead tree could be a hanging tree that drops hanged victims down as zombies. Adds some combat spice. Oh, interesting. A hanging tree drops. Though it's so strong already, but maybe something else. Like maybe instead of them doing that, like they grab at you, they're hanging by their heels or their ankles, and so they'll like try to grab you. So yeah, like bog mummified victims hung by their heels from the tree, attempt to grab and restrain victims. Maybe it is very macabre, but it's kind of a sad area. I mean, I can already think of a cool story about that. Well, the thing is, Brian, I guess if I do that, the thing is like the ends. If I use the trance stat block, it's you're not whittling it like a large tree, which this would be. It hits hard. It's hitting like the large. Let's see if it's a the kind of the two larger sizes are either 3d6 or 4d6 damage. So it's enough. But what I could probably do is have to mitigate that a bit. Maybe there's the grabbing attack, and then if they grab you on the next turn, they'll zap you, kind of thing. And then you get save or take the damage to mitigate it somewhat, because you get pretty rough. Could get pretty rough, and of course, it probably would have like 10 or 15 feet reach, something like that. It can come out and grab you because it's got big overhanging branches. And then maybe it's like a willow tree, so you get that kind of just a little bit of a callback to Fellowship of the Ring with Old Man Willow. So, but I like it. I like it very much. So we've got all right, the corrupted trance. We have the giants come in. We have swamp zombies, giant crocodiles, giant leeches, and then hey, if you happen to be happen to be near the wood, which actually I think you would be. Let's see. Yeah, you would be in any of those hexes. Either one of those hexes, you're within one. So I guess I don't. I guess I can even take that out because the unicorn's there. I wonder if you can have. I think something I want to give a little bit of reward. Make another note here. If you happen to if you encounter the unicorn and a friendly on friendly terms, you will endow you with a blessing, and the blessing will maybe the I'm not sure what the blessing will do, but I like the idea if the unicorn shows up and you're not mean to it, then and maybe the blessing will help with some of these things. Like if you have the blessing in the unicorn, then maybe you get an advantage in some way. Not a huge thing, but something kind of small, but maybe meaningful. And all things are meaningful at this point. Okay, one more, and then I gotta go. Gotta go do stuff. So rare would be the. Let's see. So the desolation area is this area right here. So if you're in a couple of these, I'll grab this. Maybe there's an ogre. Do I want to put an ogre? Because then I got to put a layer for the ogre, which is not. I suppose I could, which actually is fine. Maybe the layer ogres or the layer ogres. The ogre layers. What's in 005001? Oh yeah. Okay. And ogre layers. Priceman says the ogre helps avoid the con damage. Oh, I'm not trying to be that specific. I mean, maybe the ogre. Well, I did the I wouldn't want to make it specific to one encounter, but something that might help. So either maybe it just helps you in your rolls. Like while you have the blessing, it'll last until the next day, right? And then maybe it'll do. It could be something like, oh, when you do that, you subtract something from your wandering creature check, so you're more likely to get less nasty things, or maybe you get. Like, it can have a couple of different effects. I'm not going to say like, oh, it helps against this encounter. I'm not trying to game it up like that, but in its more broad effect, would probably help in that specific situation. Either you help avoiding you getting that encounter, maybe it reduces the morale of that of the creature, or it, they're something like that. I want to have kind of like a nice little small, maybe not even small, but just like kind of a nice thing. But I'm not going to specifically say, and if you're under the thing when this happens and that, then, but it would probably be something that it would help in that instance to have had the blessing in one way or another, if that makes sense. One hex of the unicorn's wood. The unicorn, Etten swine, because he's kind of staying hidden. Let's see what else we got. So it's here. I'm gonna say that it's avoiding. It's avoiding. So we'll put the ogre if within one hex of its lair. The ogre. Now just need some more frequent ones. So this is hill country basically. So let's go back and get some inspiration from hill country. All right, we've got. Let's see. I could put some dwarves in there. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Because I'm not averse to putting like goblins and dwarves. I just want to give them purpose. Like I like so I saw dwarves on the list, and it'd be interesting if the dwarves were. And again, and I'm keeping to pretty generic dwarves, but maybe it's better not to have them at all because then you can. I can. If I don't have them, then I don't have to worry about the generic stuff. But just some dwarves who are looking like they're prospecting, basically, and so they could be kind of up in here. But I also the part of the idea is that this place is pretty desolate. Like it's been essentially like, bombed out and ruined. So uh maybe it doesn't make sense. I think it looks bad enough that probably some folks it's not quite hasn't quite recovered to the degree that people are like, oh, we should go check it out. That's more like you get close to it and you're thinking like this is a place we should avoid. Do those hills have eyes? They might. They might, Brent Smith. All right. So, in terms of, we don't have subtable for animals in the hills for real. No, can't be right. Oh, mountains and hills are all the same. Barren mountains, hills. All right. So, rock baboons. Eh, snakes. Maybe snakes. And then something at the pool. What might be at the pool? Pool. Oh yeah, there's my I had the giant specter. The specter of a giant was there. Hey Magnus. Sorry you're not getting notified. Try it again. Hit the bell. Undo hit the bell and then hit the bell again. So let's try. So the where would I put the that'll be at the mine. No, at the pool, I suppose. Maybe at the pool. The specter of the fallen giant. I forgot that. I don't know if I'll actually use a specter or wraith or whatnot. Let's see. Magnus says, thinking about doing the hex jams, thinking about trying their hand at some content creation. Are am I okay with videos being posted? Absolutely. Yeah, Magnus. There's so yeah, on the forums, totally. On the Discord, I've got kind of a self promo channel, so throw them in there. Yep. On the yeah, I would on the forum probably just put them in the community if you can tag it as a community thing, and then in terms of the categories. And then, yeah, on the Discord, there's a self promo channel. Feel free to drop in there. Yeah, definitely let me know, what you post. I'd love to check it out. All right. We've got we got the pool, we got the Spectre of the Fallen Giant, Etten Swine, and then I'll put also here if at the mine. But I can do that. I can have things repeat. Maybe. What's another good? I need another. Are there any what kind of stuff? Insects. They hadn't mentioned insects in the hills? No. They mentioned unusual, which is what? A gorgon? No. Not today. Oh, the giant hawks. Yeah, yeah, giant hawks. Circling around, flying around, doing the bidding of their Etten or Wotan masters. A theme? There is no theme. Okay, so let's recap what we've done today because then I got to sign off. Start off doing wandering creatures. I've got on a 2 something positive, then the rest are basically different how common they show up, and then on a 12 something negative. I've thought about switching the 12 and the 2, but remember this is a GM roll, not a player roll. If it was a player roll, I'd want to put the positive thing up top because I just think rolling for you want to roll better is good. I would flip flop these around, but it's a GM roll, so I don't care. And in fact, if you want to play it competitive wise, then it's the least friendly thing from the GM is for an ally to show up, but I don't actually believe that. But they're whatever. So in the settled lands, we've got as the positive thing, and for most of these things, the positive thing is the unicorn, who could be an ally. Of course, the party could make the unicorn angry. Maybe there'll be a curse that could potentially happen. Otherwise, you get the unicorn, and then common stuff. We've got, and I'll probably have to flesh these out basically. But the common and frequent things are the people to settle the what do we say? The inhabitants, the paisans, the people, the folk of the realm. Potentially giving armed patrol. You might get a merchant or peddler or Carngorm, which we're calling the awakened direwolf. Awakened, just in my sense, meaning that they're sapient. They're in the case of the dire wolf who's awakened. Basically, if you want to think of like Gamork from the Neverending Story, is Mark says NPCs. Yeah, they're all kind of NPCs. Uh, I'm trying to think of like what the folk of the land would be. I felt like citizen came across as too modern, but I don't really have a better word. And then, of course, the worst thing that's going to happen pretty much in any of these is that the giants show up in their flying fortress. Then we also did that for the Unicorn Woods. The unicorn could be the wild boar and the Enten swine. Potentially, might be the flying fortress or the giant hawks. We have a cave lion who's also going to be awakened, but I got to do that. Maybe a Sasquatch or something Sasquatch-ish. And then giants. Yeah, hunter gatherers. I actually have them. There's also farmers and herdsmen. It's kind of I'm thinking fantasy medieval. So hunter gathering, like yes, I mean there are hunters and there are foragers, I guess. So I'm not thinking there's kind of nomadic peoples here. So who knows? It might change. In the mountains, we've again got the unicorn. If you're near the unicorn's wood, troglodytes, most things are going to be following the flow of the river. That's kind of what they're using as their ingress and egress routes. But also you have giant hawks, cave bear. That's just a free agent, and then the giants again. And in the ruins, we've got the unicorns, a good thing, leeches, crocodiles, swamp zombies, and then this corrupted treant, which seems like it's really creepy, like a giant willow tree, but folk were hung from it. So it's got these mummified folk who are hanging from their heels. And they try to grab you, and the treant tries to drain your con. And if it drains it all the way, something nasty will happen. And then, of course, if that's not bad enough, you don't want the dragon to show up, or the giants rather to show up. And then finally, the last one we did, if you're in this desolation area, you're near the woods, the unicorn might show up. Otherwise, you might get, if you're at the pool, you might get a specter of this fallen giant, which is this idea of a encounter actually that it could go bad, but it's also this concept of that. So my idea was that there was a fight here at one point, and the unicorn and maybe some other folks defeated the giants or pushed the giants back, and one of their giants died there, and their spirit is unsettled and is around that pool. You might encounter it. It might be a neat idea to get information or some other things, or it could end up being combat. But I'm kind of curious. I haven't figured out what I want that giant's demeanor to be, but I think they might be in death, maybe be more circumspect about their actions, maybe even repenting a little bit. Maybe we can leave it up to a reaction roll, and you can just say, "Hey, if you get this kind of reaction, then they are feeling repentant and remorseful." I guess maybe is a better word. Otherwise, maybe they're violent, but might leave it up to you. The Etten swine, which again is one of these. There's two of them. They're these kind of human boar hybrids. I think minotaurs, but with instead of with bulls, with boars is kind of who they are. Giant hawks. We decided to throw an ogre in there, hey, just to have it in there. So there's ogre that might show up. Um, Otherwise, the Etten swine, if you didn't encounter them at the mines and they're still around, maybe you encounter them elsewhere. And then, of course, the giants again. And then I did create these kind of holders for the different factions. Green indicates the kind of lawful, sort of good factions. Red, bad. Yellow is neutral. So the unicorn is the good faction. The dragon is and the lizard folk are also a kind of good faction. The Margrave, the human settlers, people, the settled lands is neutral. And then the giants are clearly the baddies of this particular area. And then just in terms of ideas, mostly about the corrupted Trant, and then to look up this movie called Moloch that's got some cool mummies in it. So we got a fair amount done. Kudos to us. It only took us a little bit less than 2 hours. So awesome work. Thanks everybody for helping me out. Should be back tomorrow. Knock on particle board here, knock on IKEA, pressed wood, whatever they call this stuff now. But yeah, we're moving right along, and like I said, these will need, I'll have to, at some point, I'll get this all into a Word doc, and then I can start smoothing out. But I feel like we're getting close. I feel like I can not maybe not see the finish line, but I can see the mile marker that when we get to the mile marker, we'll be able to see the finish line. But we're getting there. Anyhow, thanks everybody for helping out and hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.